All right. Welcome back again to Not Suitable for Adults.
Hi.
Hi. We've had some busy times.
Yeah, you may not hear our voices next week. Maybe we'll try.
We're gonna try and bank an episode for you for next week. We're getting ready to move, and that's gonna happen over the weekend.
Yeah, and so, packing of things needed for this is going to be happening. So,
but yeah, we are. But we don't like missing a week. Like I like having this out there, and I think you do too, dear listener, fellow adults. I started the other day on Twitter. I said, "Oh no!" It was when I said we weren't going to be able to have an episode last week. I said, "Sorry, fellow adults," and I was like, "I kind of like that." I'm gonna start thinking of our listeners as fellow adults.
okay.
Fellow adults who watch shows their kids watch.
Yes. This is Not Suitable for Adults.
And I'm Rich.
And I'm Natalie.
Oh, that was a little spooky. Natalie.
I'm a little jittery. I had black tea and then coffee and then a Diet Coke and...
Ooh. All right, well, let's kick things off. I'm going to talk about two things before the break. Two for the price of one. In that we didn't pay anything for either of them. So the first one is a movie I came across that's on Netflix. It apparently came out almost 3 years ago. And it was interesting because it sort of presents itself like a Disney type movie. It is from the producers of Shrek. I don't know if it's actually... Yeah, it's not actually like a DreamWorks movie, but apparently the people who worked on Shrek also worked on this movie. And there are some similarities. The movie is called Charming. And here is a brief plot synopsis according to, let's see, which one's better? Is it going to be IMDb? Or is it going to be... Here we go.
We mostly just get onto these mics and read Wikipedia or IMDb.
So IMDb says, and this is kind of what it's about, but it's not. IMDb says, 3 fairytale princesses find themselves engaged to the same guy, Prince Charming.
Whoa.
So yeah, that's not what.
So it's a love square.
It is.
You know how a love triangle is 3? Love square is 4.
This movie is not. I can't state this enough. Not a love square.
It's so funny. This, have you seen the viral guy going around lately that like has an ex-wife, a wife, and like 3 fiancés and like 2 girlfriends? And he was found out. And he's like some police chief or something in Texas. What? He's like a police chief in Texas.
Well, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like he got engaged to this woman and this woman put it on Facebook and somebody else was like, that's so-and-so's husband. And she was like, what? Anyway, it made me think of that. It made me think of that he's got that description said he had like 3 fiancés.
Yeah. So this is what it's actually about, and IMDb goes on in the storyline section, so I'm going to talk about that here. Charming is an irreverent animated comedy about a young prince with an irresistible appeal and one double dollar signs maiden who wants him only for his money. Cursed as a child, Prince Philippe Charming compulsively proposes to every woman he encounters, leaving a trail of lovesick ladies and scorned lovers to wreak vengeful havoc on the kingdom. Ultimately, Prince Philippe's exasperated father, King Charming, gives the young prince an ultimatum: find a true love before his 21st birthday, or lose all claim to the throne. Now, this is important. That is also not what the movie's about.
Oh my goodness! But this says I'm looking over at this. It says it's TVY7. But in that it says it's an irreverent animated comedy, and they also use kick A as a description for the maiden that he hangs out with.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a 7-year-old yet, but I think if I'm reading that description, I'm not too jazzed about it.
Okay. Let me go over the cast of the movie, which is a weirdly kind of star-studded cast, but not in a way you're expecting.
Okay.
All right, here we go. We've got Wilmer Valderrama as Prince Philippe Charming. Fez from that 70s show for the uninitiated.
Yes.
Lenore, the true main character of this movie, if you ask me, played by Demi Lovato.
Okay.
And then we have voicing Cinderella, Ashley Tisdale. Voicing Snow White, Avril Lavigne.
Wow.
And then voicing Sleeping Beauty, GEM. And GEM is a pop star from Hong Kong.
Interesting.
It's also got John Cleese. It's also got Sia. You know about Sia.
I know about Sia.
And that's kind of it. It's a really weird sort of quirky cast. You might have noticed a lot of them are vocalists.
Yeah. Is this a musical?
It's not a musical, but it is an opportunity for each of these artists to contribute at least one song to a soundtrack. So that's a thing. Here's what the movie's actually about. So the part about Prince Charming sort of being cursed is true. And so it's not that he is like a cat or anything, but he's cursed that any woman that he sees falls in love with him.
She falls in love with him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he sort of takes it on himself. He's like a dashing prince, and so like it's his job to go save people. And then when he sees them, they fall in love with him, and he's very charming. And then he's like, I guess he's kind of into that. It's weird. So there's that. It's that he's cursed with this thing. The kingdom sort of doesn't like him, like especially like all the men in the kingdom.
Well, I would assume that he's probably inadvertently stealing the affections of several young ladies that were beforehand betrothed.
Yeah, basically all the ladies is the way that
all
they make it
seem.
Ladies? Yeah,
oh,
all the ladies.
All the ladies.
All the ladies is what it is. And so there's that. And then...
Do we get any grannies falling in love with him?
I don't remember grannies.
Because that would be kind of funny. The granny part of it.
Yeah, that'd be funny. So, the curse part is correct. The curse is given to him by this character. Oh, I skipped over her and I shouldn't have. Her name is Nimini Neverwish. And she's voiced by Nia Vardalos of My Big Fat Greek Wedding fame. And she, by the way, I would say of all the voice actors in this movie, she does the best. She's really good. Nemini, which is supposed to sound, I think, like enemy.
Yes, but with an N.
Nemini.
I mean...
And like sea anemone.
An
anemone.
Sea anemone.
So she's like a sorceress who was dating the King Charming.
Ooh.
And then they broke up, and she didn't like that. So when King Charming got married and had a son, she cursed the son. And the curse is this.
It's rude.
He's cursed to be like this, to be charming. And if he doesn't find a true love, someone who loves him for real, by his 21st birthday, all love will be eradicated from the kingdom.
From everyone?
From everyone.
Well, that's a little overboard.
So that's the thing. So the reason he's going around like charming people isn't because I just put it back together because honestly it's kind of wild. It's kind of twisty. So it's that he needs to find someone to be in love with.
Right.
But it's impossible for him to tell who is really in love with him because they're all charmed.
Because they're also cursed.
Right.
Cursed.
They're all cursed.
They're charm cursed. Cursed.
Yeah, that's the thing. I believe it. So I'll say really quickly, we mentioned that this is from the producers of Shrek. It's very Shrekky because there are little hints about a bunch of different, specifically kind of Disney princesses scattered throughout the movie, other than the three that I mentioned. There's a moment when he's like going out into sort of the village, like the main city where he's the prince. And like as he's walking through, you see a girl in a blue and white dress reading a book walk by, and you see like an Arabian princess walk by. She looks like Jasmine, and so like you see all these things where like princesses are coming also to like be his suitors, kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And so like that part's kind of cute. There's this one girl though. She's a thief, and her name is Lenore.
It's always those rebellia types.
And she's not
rebellious.
She's a female. She's female. She's rebellious. She's a rebellia.
I keep not finishing words.
So Demi Lovato's character Lenore is not immediately charmed by Prince Charming,
which means she's special.
She is special. And that's how you know it from the very top. But she's a thief, and she's really only into money. So like that's her whole thing. She gets captured by the guardians of these three princesses who admittedly Prince Charming is engaged. He gets engaged to all three of them. But then they're like, but you can only marry one. He's like, yeah. Well, like, we'll figure that out.
That's for future
It's
Prince
basically
Charming.
like he's narrowed it down. Like, okay, I've got my three, and I proposed to all. It's very like The Bachelor. Like, I proposed to all of them, and then we'll see which one I actually end up with, kind of thing. And so,
have you ever watched The Bachelor?
Yeah, some of the
okay.
the earliest when it was brand new. My family watched The Bachelor, and then I was like,
because he doesn't nowadays. I don't know how he was, but nowadays he doesn't get engaged to three.
No.
Oh,
I know.
okay.
I know. He didn't. He never did. I'm just
Okay.
saying the process. I think is kind of like The Bachelor. I'm just saying like he
Gotcha.
got it down to the top.
Narrowing it down.
Yeah. And so the guardians of the three princesses capture Lenore. She like steals from someone really big and powerful, and then she gets caught. And they're like, we'll let you go, and we'll all give you, like, a huge treasure. Like, all of them. If you will safely get him. He has to go, like, through this sort of crucible challenge and then arrive at the location where he's supposed to get married. And the idea is that when he gets there, he should know who his true love is.
Wow, there are so many.
There's a lot of very specific rules that apparently everyone knows.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad this curse came with a handbook.
Yeah. So Lenore agrees to do this because she's into the money.
Yeah.
And she
Girl, same.
And she transforms into she disguises herself as Lenny, a male like tracker. Okay.
She what is that? What's the Amanda Bynes?
She's the man.
She's the man. But that's from
But that's based
Midsummer
on
Night's Dream? No.
Twelfth Night.
Twelfth Night. Anyway, sorry.
It's okay. Herein lies what I think is the biggest problem with this movie.
Okay.
And that's that her disguise. Okay, so when you first see her, she's wearing she's a very feminine character, and she's wearing like skinny tight pants and like tight boots.
So you're seeing the curves.
She's curvy.
And
then when she disguises herself, she's still wearing all that same stuff. But she puts on like this sort of leather like shoulder sort of cover thing that doesn't cover her.
Okay.
It just kind of comes down like just below her clavicle, basically. And she's not wearing like a revealing shirt, but she's wearing a shirt where you can see the outline of stuff. And
they're like, man,
and
this guy's cut.
And then she throws a mustache on.
That's all you gotta do.
And a hat, and she's Lenny.
That's all you gotta do.
And Charming totally buys it.
Sure. Because he's a dum-dum.
But yeah, it's so bad. And so she takes him through all the stuff, and as they're going, Nimini Neverwish is tracking his progress because she wants him to fail so that she can eliminate all love from the kingdom. Blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. She falls in love with him through the crucible.
As Lenny.
Okay. And by the end of it, he finds out, like, when he gets to the very end, he's become good friends with Lenny.
Sure, they're bros now.
Well, and he's, but like he says, he has this moment where he's like, I've never had a true friend.
Because everybody's always just charmed by him.
Right.
They're made to be.
Like, men don't want to have anything to do with him, and women can't get past his curse.
Yeah.
And so she realizes that she's in love with him too. And then it's revealed that she's Lenore, and she did this just for the money, and she leaves, and that's when he realizes that he's like, oh wow, no, like,
I've been in love with Lenny.
Oops, I was in love with Lenny, and it's okay because it's Lenore.
I'm glad she's abroad.
So, so that's and then they figure things out and happily ever after. So here's the thing. Here's the overall my feelings about this movie. There are some funny things in here. Mm-hmm. It's kind of dumb.
Yeah, sure. Sounds like it.
I couldn't decide. Maybe you can give me, and maybe any listeners out there, if you want to chime in the Twitter sphere or elsewhere, if you want to send us an email. I was trying to decide if this movie, was feminist or not. Because when I first saw it, I was like, oh man, they went for a movie where it's all about the guy as the main character. Mm-hmm. And like, so they kind of, they're trying to flip the fairy tale story, which I like. I think that's interesting. Uh-huh. But then they kind of turn the man into the damsel in distress, which again, that could be kind of a feminist thing. Mm-hmm. But then also it's still really kind of his story. Even though Lenore is kind of like the driving force of the story, it's mainly about him. And so I wasn't sure, and I haven't read anything about the reception of it. So I wonder what you think about the sound of that. Like, does that sound like it's, I don't know.
Well, I kind of like the idea. You know me. I love it when I can pull out a skill of some sort that you would not be able to do without me, you know. I mean, behind every good man is a great woman, you know.
That's true.
So I kind of like the idea of, even though it's not her story, it doesn't have to be.
Right.
For her to be the
hero.
The hero.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But again, I have not seen this movie. I know nothing about it. This is just going off of your description.
Yeah. I did yada 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 over like all the like tasks.
Yeah.
But they're not really that important. And I think that's borne out. I'm reading the Wikipedia reception section. Mm-hmm. It says, on Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 25% based on reviews from 16 critics. Mm-hmm. One of the reviewers gave the film a 2 out of 5 and wrote, it has the odd fun conceit. It has the odd fun conceit. Oh, I see. Occasional is what he means by odd. It has the odd fun conceit, but the setup is tortured, the storytelling is episodic, the gags are scattershot, the songs are forgettable, and the animation is rudimentary. You'll live happily ever after without it.
Yeah. I think we have, on the specifically the feminist thing, I think we have more strong female characters to where it sounds like you know,
I will say,
in better movies like Mulan,
yeah.
Like I mean, she's hardcore, the coolest and strongest out of all of those boys, and
I think this review actually sums it up really well, where it says the setup is tortured. Like, it's, I'll admit I had fun. Like, it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
So there's not and it's fine. Like, there's no problem with...
It's fun to watch and it's fine.
There's nothing like egregious about this movie. But it is like very, okay. It starts with like, let me imagine with me, if you will, a world in which Prince Charming is the one that's in trouble. Like, he's the damsel in distress. And if it was just like, okay, yeah, we could reverse that. I could see that. And then it's like, and imagine he's been cursed by his father's ex-girlfriend. And you're like, okay, yeah, okay, sure, I can come along with that. And then, like, I guess, and if we do sort of, we don't do this as much anymore, by the way. I was thinking about this. We don't do as much of the, like, let's find the plot holes. Here's a big plot hole. I don't think they ever explain why Lenore is immune to the curse. She just is. He meets her on the street one day. Yeah, so before he meets her as Lenny, he bumps into her one time, and he's like, "Oh, hello," and she's like,
I love. By the way, Fez's voice, is the best. I wish I could say his name properly.
Wilmer Valderrama.
I'm not going to even try because I don't want to butcher it. Because it's a very lovely name.
It's a great name.
You know, he's also he's NCIS now. He's like a...
He's the new Dinosaur.
Yeah, pretty much. But kind of cooler, actually.
Oh, okay.
He's actually like, it took me a good while to realize who he was because he plays the complete opposite character that he plays as Fez.
I bet he rides like 2 motorcycles.
He does. Leather, jeans, motorcycles, you know. Yeah.
So it's just that this movie it does a lot. It does a whole lot to like get the story set up, and then it's very by the book.
And doesn't ever really explain some things.
No.
Yeah.
No, there is an interesting thing at the end, and I'm just spoiling the whole thing. I didn't even call out spoilers at the beginning, but there's a thing at the end where he comes to terms with the fact. And I guess this is kind of interesting. He comes to terms with the fact that he's in love with Lenore and that she, like, has left and she's gone. And he's like, well, I'm not going to love anyone else. So I'm not going to get married. So, and then he decides, so I'm going to have to die before my 21st birthday to break the curse.
Jeez.
And he writes a note to every woman in the kingdom.
Oh no!
And so there's like this scene where he's like writing, and the stacks are
coming
in front of him.
Is it like like it's the same note, just he changes the name basically, at the top? Yeah.
Yeah, he's like my dearest Natalie.
Yeah.
It's like I hope you've been doing well. I'm sorry I haven't been able to see you. If you're reading this,
I have died.
Yeah, basically he's like I want you to know I found my true love. I'm sorry it wasn't you, but good news, you can go find your true love now.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's kind of nice. It's kind of a weird twist
because it sounds like if he's out of the picture, then they are free.
Yeah.
The women are free.
Yeah.
So he's willing to sacrifice himself.
For really the whole kingdom. Like, they're going to be free, and the ones he's, like, stolen are also, like, get to go back. So, like, he's freeing everyone in the kingdom, basically. Yeah. But that's another thing they don't explain until that point is that, like, oh, option B is if he doesn't make it to his 21st birthday, the curse is also broken.
Yeah.
Anyway, charming. It was fine.
It was okay.
It was fine.
Let's go on.
Let's move on to...
We're gonna okay. So we're gonna preface this by saying what we're gonna talk about next can be a delicate subject.
It could be. It doesn't have to be, which is kind of the point of the show.
Right. We are not going. We're a very clean show. We don't.
Yeah.
We want you guys to be able to listen to this with your kids and everything. So everything that we're about to say is going to be put as delicately as we can, as if our daughter was standing here listening to us.
Right.
So here we go.
Yeah. So there's this show
brought to our attention
by one of our friends, and he's like, "Hey, I heard about this show." He had seen like a either a bit about it online or read an article. The show is called John Dillermand, and the show is in I think it's in Danish. Mm-hmm. It's for like the Danish equivalent of PBS, and
this show is for children.
It is made for children.
Yes,
like young children. Mm-hmm. The name John Dillermand translates into John the Willy Man, and the Willy is what you think it is. And the story is that John is the man with the longest willy in the world. And by that I mean it can extend to great lengths.
This is made for children.
They made it for kids. It can extend to any length, and it can be used for many tasks.
Like as an extra appendage.
As if it's like a tail that a primate might have, but in front. And so the show, it's like 5 minutes long. Each episode is like 5 minutes long. I think it's intended to be kind of like a between commercials kind of thing.
Like a shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so it's this guy. It's like also like questionable claymation. Like it's to the point where it's hard to tell if whoever made it just isn't very good, or if they made it look bad on purpose.
Yeah.
He wears this sort of red and white striped jumpsuit. And when the willy comes out, it's sort of also it's the same. So like it just it just extends. It just extends the red and white stripes.
Yes.
And the weird thing about the willy is that it can sometimes he uses it. Sometimes he's like, "Uh-oh, got to do something," but it's way out of reach. And he like kind of does a little squat. He's like, "Hurr." And
I can't believe that.
And then, like, for instance, he saves someone crossing the street from being hit by a bus.
Yikes, I'd rather be hit by a bus, I think.
And then...
rather be hit by a bus than have a strange man's willy save me.
But then sometimes it does things on its own. So, like, sometimes he's walking down the street and, like, there's a narrator.
Sentient willy.
And then there's, like, a narrator who's talking through the whole thing about, like, whatever he's supposed to be doing in that episode. So, like, sometimes it's just, he's supposed to go to the grocery store. But then there'll be one where he's like, "Oh, John is walking down the street, and the willy is going to get him into trouble," and as it often does. And then it'll like do something random on its own, and then he has to like react to that. So this show, it's on. You have to go find it on YouTube. That's the only place I could find it.
But you can also just take our word for it that it's real.
But yeah, it exists. I think it'd be interesting for you to try to like spend some time trying to imagine what this show is, and then like maybe go check out one episode just to see if you're right. But it is ridiculous.
But the overall idea of it is somewhat.
It's interesting. So the creators of the show had the notion that this is just a part of your anatomy, and it shouldn't be automatically sexualized,
right?
Which is an interesting project, and I don't know, like,
and I don't know.
I don't want to do the thing where I'm like, it doesn't conform to what I think it should be, so it's bad. But also, I'm not sure the show's good. Like, I don't know. And not like morally, just, I don't know. I guess I don't really understand
I don't know what this type of show, if it was aired on PBS in the United States today, we would have an uprising, I feel like.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. It would be canceled here for like all the moms who would like write in and threaten and stuff. Man, it's just so weird. There's so much about it that is like just strange. Like like I said, he's kind of an overweight middle-aged man. He lives, I think, with his grandmother. And so like he's frequently running errands for her, and like he'll be like, "Grandma, I tried to do this," and she's like, "Oh, you and the willy," and like I just
oh my goodness, this is so psychotic.
I know, it feels like a fever dream. And I was telling our friend who turned us on to this, and by us I mean me. I was the only one who watched it.
You aren't turned on to it.
No,
actually.
thank you for clarifying that so much. Thank you. I was telling him they're only 5 minutes long, and honestly, it's the longest 5 minutes of your life.
Because you're just like...
I was sitting there trying to watch these things, and I was like, all right, how long have I been? I'll look down, like, 30 seconds!
I've aged a year.
I feel like I've lived a lifetime in this show. I just wanted to quickly mention this show because it's one of the most remarkably interesting and like unusual and weird things.
So funny though.
I've ever encountered. And if you are familiar with John Dillermand, and maybe you have more experience with that, or maybe you know more about it than I do. I didn't do more than what the heck is this and watch like 8 episodes.
And some people may let their kids watch this, and you know what? That's like more power to you.
That's my thing. Is it's no more offensive than like some of the other trash garbage cartoons that are out there. So like the ones that it doesn't teach anything. So like if it doesn't, it's nothing more than that, except that the thing that causes the chaos in the show is the man with the longest willy in the world.
Feel like that's raising a lot of children to just understand that this willy will get you in trouble.
Maybe, yeah.
You better watch out.
Maybe so. Maybe that's the point. Maybe it's like, hey, like we're gonna desexualize this, but also like look at all the trouble that happens when it gets where it's not supposed to be.
Yes. Okay.
All right, so
I should go check on our kid.
Yeah, well, let's take a quick break in promo though.
Do you know what's super important when you become a parent?
There's a lot of things, but what are you talking about?
I'm talking about coffee.
Coffee, sure, yeah.
Because sometimes you really need it to get through your day.
Yeah, or even just to try to live.
Exactly. So I want to tell you about Coco's Coffee.
Coco's Coffee.
Yes. They are a veteran-owned father-daughter team in New Hampshire. They make single-origin, small-batch coffees.
Sounds delicious.
Yes. They don't add fillers or cheap beans to their coffee, so you end up with a smooth cup that is never bitter.
Which is the main reason I don't drink coffee. I've had this coffee, and it's great.
You can go to Coco's Coffee NH, that's COCOS, coffeenh.com to read all about their different varieties and other coffee-based products that they offer.
And I heard that they're doing a promotion right now. Listeners of our show who are first-time customers at cocoscoffeenh.com will receive 10% off their first order through February 28th, 2021 when they use the code FEB10. That's F-E-B and the number 10.
That's a pretty cool deal.
I think that sounds like a great deal.
So get yourself a cup of Coco's Coffee to make it through your day of parenting.
Coco's Coffee, drink the coffee. And we're back.
Yay.
All right, Natalie, bring us back from the brink. What are you talking about this week?
Yeah, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. I was like, oh, I need to do that because I was very interested in learning about the history and everything. So today we are looking at Barney.
Now, Barney is a dinosaur.
From our imagination.
Right.
Yes. Exactly.
I forgot the rest of the song.
I thought you were going to continue.
I was gonna continue, and I lost it.
Barney is a dinosaur from our imagination, and when he...
Something all is what we call a dinosaur sensation. But I don't remember what the line is that sets up all.
Yeah, I don't either.
Oh, well.
Oops. Sorry, y'all. But of course, I love you.
And you love me.
And we're a happy family.
Yeah.
Great big hug.
And a kiss from me to you.
Except for in COVID times. Won't you say you love me too?
Yes.
Here we go. Barney and Friends is the actual name of the show. It wasn't just called Barney, but I think everybody just called it Barney.
Yeah.
But it's Barney and Friends. It is an American children's television series.
It is an American
children's television series aimed at 2 to 7 year olds. I feel like 7-year-olds is old.
That's pushing
for Barney.
It. Yeah.
It's pushing it, I feel like. Of course, like I actually have said in this particular episode of this podcast, I have yet to have a 7-year-old. So
yeah, that's true, and I think that's just the cutoff for like the ratings, like because Y7 is like 7 and up.
Starts, yeah. It is created by a woman named Cheryl Leach.
Okay.
And she came up with the idea after she saw her son outgrowing some of the programming that he was interested in.
Interesting.
And so he recognized that there were no other videos that really appealed to him.
Okay.
After he got a little bit older too, because he was listening to more what I assumed. You may know this. We Sing Together, WEE, Sing Together. It's a musical. Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah. So she noticed that was his favorite thing, but he started getting kind of bored with it. So she got together, just a team of people, who created a series of home videos. Mm-hmm. And those were called Barney and the Backyard Gang.
Yep, we had them.
Did you?
Yeah.
And that was released in 1988, which was a really good year.
Yes. Many great things were born that year.
That's right.
One thing in particular.
Yes.
It's Natalie.
So then we've got 1988. We've got Barney and the Backyard Gang.
Yeah.
Just kind of this thrown together home video thing.
Yeah.
1991. So we're 3 years in the future. The daughter of... What?
Nothing.
Why are you laughing?
No, you said we're 3 years in the future. I want to be like,
okay.
Look at everything that's changed.
Yeah, I like that you were laughing at a joke that you weren't... that was just in your head.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I did think it was funny.
Okay. So, in 1991, the daughter of Connecticut Public Television executive... Sorry, I said that weird.
CPTVE, sure. Go on.
CPT executive Larry Rifkin has a daughter, and she saw the video and loved it 3 years later. He thought the concept could be great for PBS, and he pitched it to CPTV president Jerry Franklin. I keep saying these things so weird.
It's okay.
My sentences aren't working, you guys.
I can't sentence today.
I can't sentence. The president of CPTV, also had a son that watched it and loved it. These two men pitched the idea to their colleagues that had preschoolers and kind of let everybody just kind of look at this and say, like, what do your kids think about this?
What do you think? Should this be a TV show?
And they all agreed that kids would love a Barney show. So it debuted as Barney and Friends in 1992.
Okay.
At first, at the very start, it was a hit. Mm-hmm. These kids loved it. But initially, guys, I can't speak. Now, I'm so irritated right now, and it's making it worse.
It is.
Initially, PBS opted not to provide funding beyond a 30-episode run.
Still, that's...
Yeah. But when the CPTV executives learned this, they wrote letters to PBS urging them to reconsider. And they also told all of the parents of the kids that loved Barney to write to PBS.
So they did a letter writing campaign.
Yes. And so many people were just up in arms about this decision of we're only going to do 30 episodes. And then, in quote, it says, it was like an insurrection.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Faced with an atmosphere that Rifkin, who was the executive, later described as like an insurrection, PBS ultimately relented.
Good grief. So basically PBS was like, hey, you know what? Yeah, we like this show. Let's give a season a try. And everyone in the world was like, no, yes. We all know this will need another season.
Yes, exactly. The last episode aired in 2010.
What? Mm-hmm. Man, I knew it went for a while, but 2010.
Yep. And reruns aired on Sprout from 2005 to 2015. and then from 2018 to present on Universal Kids.
Okay.
Okay. As we all should know, but just in case you don't, the series title character, Barney, is a purple anthropomorphic, see, for some reason I could say that,
was
word
great.
correctly.
You did it perfect.
T-Rex, who has educational messages throughout his show through songs and dances, and he's just really optimistic and fun and friendly. So the show always goes by the same kind of pattern. You open up with the theme song, and you're kind of going into a schoolyard, and the kids are playing or doing an activity or something like that. And then the children start imagining something, and Barney comes to life. He is a plush doll in his non-magical form, but then he becomes the real Barney, who is like a man height. And that's how he appears in the children's imaginations. Then they have the main plot of the episode, where you're going to see all the different friends and what they're talking about and the message that's going into that episode. And then they conclude with the I Love You song. And then he goes back into his original stuffed form and winks. Ding! Do you remember that wink? It kind of sparkled a little bit.
Yeah.
Ding! Winks to the audience. And then the children kind of talk about what they learned. So it is in real life. It's not animated. It's live action with real kids and a man dressed in a giant purple and green Tyrannosaurus Rex costume.
Yeah.
Okay. Barney, if anybody is interested, from 1992, because I'll just do this really quickly. 1992 to 2000. So how many years is that?
8.
For 8 years. Sorry, I can't math at the moment. Bob West was Barney. He was voiced by Barney. Then he was voiced by Dean Wint from 2001 to 2010.
Okay.
So 8 years and then 9 years.
So only 2 voice actors.
But the people that wore the Barney suit...
Oh, I'm sure there were dozens.
Were several people.
Yeah.
Which I won't go into it, but there were several people. So, even though Barney is a Tyrannosaurus Rex, they often talk about things like eating healthy foods. Like, he is actually an omnivore, which is not a Tyrannosaurus Rex
False.
thing to do.
Historically inaccurate.
Yeah. Then we have, quickly, I'll run through, Baby Bop, who was voiced by Julie Johnson. She's a green triceratops. And she likes macaroni and cheese and pizza. She's my kind of girl.
Who doesn't?
BJ is a 7-year-old yellow...
Go on.
Dinosaur.
Let me see.
What's that word?
Protoceratops.
Okay. Dinosaur. He likes pickles.
Okay.
And then we've got Riff, who is an orange 6-year-old hadrosaur, who is their cousin. And he likes music. So, anyway, those are your main friends that you're going to see with
Plus the
Barney.
children.
Plus, I mean, the main stuffed dinosaur friends that you're going to see. As far as adults and children go, they are often teachers at the school or storytellers or other characters. But the children are what it's centered around. They're the ones that have the issue or want to learn the thing.
They introduce the conflict for each episode.
Yes, and then they learn a lesson and talk about it afterward. Over 100 children have appeared in the series, most of them from the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Okay.
Because that's where Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas is where it was filmed.
Okay.
A few of these children have made some appearances in other roles, like two girls, Debbie Ryan and Madison Pettis. They were both in season 10, and they went on to star in other Disney Channel type things.
Cool.
But then we also have Gianna. That's a character's name. Gianna from season 7 to season 8 was Selena Gomez.
What? I didn't even know that.
Yep.
I didn't know she was on Barney and Friends first.
From season 7 to season 8, she played Gianna.
Okay.
And then, playing Angela from season 7 to season 8, yet again, we are talking about Demi Lovato.
Interesting.
Yes. So
this episode is about Demi Lovato.
Those are the two names. The other girls I wanted to mention because they're in more Disney Channel things. But those are the two big names, Demi Lovato and Selena Gomez, were Barney's kids for a couple seasons.
It's too bad that they couldn't turn it more into like the old school Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah.
Where like a ton of famous people came out of the Mickey Mouse Club.
So many.
Too bad they couldn't make that work for Barney and Friends. But they
got
a couple of good
Mouse
ones.
Club sometime. I always think of things and say it while I'm like in the microphone. I should do that sometime. Of course, it has aired in many other countries other than the United States, and a lot of those countries have their own kind of versions of Barney as well. Kind of like, not spin-offs, but like adaptations.
Yeah.
Now let's get into some interesting little tidbits. The I Love You song, I Love You, You Love Me, was among... I just think this is so funny. Was among those used by interrogators at Guantanamo Bay detention camp to coerce detainees.
What?
They used it as a torture device in Guantanamo Bay. I'm not saying that correct. Guantanamo Bay.
Okay, so torture is terrible.
Yeah.
And also...
Yes, but it says coerce detainees, but really it was probably some auditory type torture that was going on.
Is wild.
That's one of them. The similar use of I Love You to inflict psychological stress on Iraqi prisoners of war was examined by John Ronson in his 2004 book, The Men Who Stare at Goats.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yeah. So it has been used by a few different groups of
agencies.
Man. As a form of coercion.
Coercion. No, not coherence.
Whatever.
Coercion.
I mean, right?
Man.
Yeah. It's supposed to be a cute little song about love, but apparently if it's played over and over and over again...
Well, if you do anything loud enough and over and over and over and over and over again...
Sure. But that's one of the songs that they used.
That's crazy.
It has been nominated for 15 different Daytime Emmys, but has only won a Daytime Emmy for Outstanding Live and Direct-to-Tape Sound Mixing in 2001. And that one, it tied with Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Oh, well, yeah.
So, bless it, never has won a thing of its own. A lot of people have said that the episodes have great age-appropriate educational material, and that includes a Yale University researcher, or two Yale University researchers, Dorothy and Jerome Singer, who call the program, quote, a model of what preschool television should be.
All right. Yeah, I can see that.
But
Go on.
There's the other side of the coin. The show is often cited as a contributing factor to the perceived sense of entitlement seen in millennials who grew up watching the show. So there is a stereotype out there of millennials that grew up watching the show of Barney and Friends as entitled.
Interesting.
There was a specific criticism written in Parents Magazine in an article called The Bad News About Barney. And this is, quote, "The shows do not assist children in learning to deal with negative feelings and emotions. As one commentator puts it, the real danger from Barney is denial, the refusal to recognize the existence of unpleasant realities. For along with his steady diet of giggles and unconditional love, Barney offers our children a one-dimensional world where everyone must be happy and everything must be resolved right away."
Yeah, I can see that. It's like a
But I
it's
feel like
escapism.
that's kids' TV, right?
Yes, for sure.
I mean, kids' TV aren't... I mean, you should learn things, right? You should learn how to deal with... And this is something that we have talked about with Bluey.
Yeah.
Bluey deals with sickness and death and disappointment and losing friends and all of those things. It deals with that, and you see Bluey and Bingo and parents going through these things and learning how to kind of cope with them. Barney doesn't do that. Barney is happy, giggly, everything's perfect, but that you could say that about many other children's television shows.
Yeah, but I guess I'm thinking about like Sesame Street and like Mr. Rogers as kind of the pinnacle of preschool live action.
And Mr. Rogers dealt with a lot of different social issues as well.
Yeah, so I think I understand, like, if you want to say maybe it's too much to really levy a like harsh criticism on Barney, but for sure the show doesn't do what shows it's competing with do, which is do like the happy and fun and educational, but then also deal with like something hard.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I can understand that.
It's harsh.
Yeah.
That particular thing is harsh. As a child, I even remember not super caring for Barney.
It's very saccharine.
It's not something I really was very interested in. Actually, talking about using it as torture.
Yeah.
There is an actual specific instance where, I don't know if you remember this, Krista, my cousin Krista and I, attempted to tie up my brother Ben to a chair and put Barney on the TV to where he had to sit and watch it. We were not good at tying up, and he got out. But obviously, we knew even as a young age that it was being
that it could be used in that way.
Yes. That just popped into my head.
I feel like I also remember. I don't know if this is on your little sheet of goodies about the show or not, but I also feel like I remember that there was at least temporarily like a concern that there might be like demonic underpinnings to... I don't know how much truth was in that, so I did not go into... I feel like I just remember that. There's a lot of things. This is one of those... So Natalie's got me watching TikTok a bunch now, and...
You're welcome. And 2020 got me watching TikTok / my sister-in-law.
Yeah. So I feel like this is one of those things where it's... what was I going to say? It's like... one of those things where it's like, it's like, tell me you're a millennial without telling me you're a millennial kind of thing. And I feel like this is one of those things, like when the internet was first coming out and was brand new in the mid to late 90s.
Everything was demonic.
Everything was a conspiracy.
Or
everything
Satanism.
was Satanism. And because what would happen is the first versions of those like viral letters would go around.
Yes.
And all the moms would get them, and they'd be like, well,
they had never been fed information before. They had never had to filter.
Someone I trust got this, and they're sending it to me, so I trust them, so I should let everyone I know about it.
It came off of this all-knowing, technology.
So I remember several things like that, and I'm pretty sure this was one of those things where it was like, don't let your kids watch Barney. There are
like devil worshippers
subliminal messages in the show.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember that too.
Yeah. It may have been. I did not look into that. Let me just finish up really quickly.
Yeah, of course.
It was also ranked number 50 on TV Guide's 2002 list of the 50 worst TV shows of all time.
Okay.
But it was number 50 on a list of 50.
Okay. So not so bad.
In 1993, a newspaper article quoted Jerry Franklin, who, if you remember, was the president of the Connecticut Public Television that got it started. He was quoted saying, "When adults say they do not like Barney, in a way we take that as a compliment. Barney is not designed for parents, whereas Sesame Street is designed for parents and children. We made a conscious decision to make Barney simple. It is not a program for parents. Barney relates to preschoolers. We think he speaks to them at their level, which is in simple terms and with music."
I honestly thought, as you were reading it, I thought you were going to say Barney is not suitable for adults. and I was going to be like, oh my gosh, we have to end the podcast. But
that's basically what he said.
Yeah.
He was basically saying, why are you complaining so much? This isn't for you.
We didn't make it for you. Yeah.
Which, I mean, is the whole premise of this here podcast.
Yep. And then we did part of a show talking all about it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I have about Barney at this time. Now, as far as Barney goes, I've always so Barney is a dinosaur from our imagination. Are we all imagining the same things then at the same time? Because it's a group of children. It's not one child each time. It is a group of different children each time. Yet they all have this imagination. And so I'm thinking...
It's a shared delusion.
I'm thinking this school, this daycare, this preschool, this kindergarten, whatever this school is that they attend, has like some weird gas pumping in it or something.
Also, like throughout the series, children just disappear and then new dinosaurs appear. So...
the gas turns them into the dinosaurs.
Oh.
What were you thinking? That the dinosaurs eat them?
No, I was thinking he was like sacrificing them or something.
Oh, because they're devil worshippers.
And then like
in the basement of that school, we got us a pentagram.
And when they sacrifice enough of the children, another dinosaur rises.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. We've
solved it. We figured it out. Don't worry, everyone.
All of our problems have been solved now.
Yeah. It's a shared delusion.
Between so many kids, because like it said, over 100 children appeared on this TV show. And somehow when these kids aged out, they maybe left a note or something for the younger kids going like, all you have to imagine is a purple and green dinosaur. And
you will find Barney on the shelf. He is the purple dinosaur.
It kind of makes me think of, and this
remove him from the shelf and sing the song.
This is actually suitable for adults. So, but do you remember the movie Sucker Punch?
Yeah, kind of.
She's like in a mental institution, and when something terrible is happening to her, she goes away. She goes away into her imaginary place. That's what I am at. I mean, maybe something bad is happening to these kids, and they're going into their happy place where Barney is. You guys, it's so sinister. Let's start.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
We need to start an internet letter. What do they call those? Chain letters.
Chain letter.
We need to start a chain letter about how Barney sacrificed children on his
Man,
to raise more dinosaurs.
this is really going down a fun path.
I mean, it's just funny to me that every single kid that came imagined the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, as they go, they pass it along, and and they're taught by the children who came before them.
One of my favorite songs that was what was the yellow dinosaur's name?
BJ?
No, the girl.
Baby
Something
Bop. But she's a green one.
Oh, she's green. Anyway, which one is the one that sings, I like to eat apples and bananas?
I thought that was a song before Barney, but I think that was Baby Bop.
Okay. That's where that when I think of that song,
yeah,
I think of it as a Barney song.
Okay, gotcha.
Because I think that apples and bananas,
yeah.
They were teaching phonics is what they were doing, but anyway, that's what I think of.
Yep, same. No, by the way, so wrapping up, but we did have the tapes, and the tapes are weird because Barney looks totally different.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's
what did he look like?
He I don't.
Was he purple and green?
He was purple and green, but the purple was almost more of a deep blue, and then green, and then didn't look like they reinvented the look when they put him on TV.
Yeah, yeah.
So they didn't bring over whatever suit they had made up for the home movies.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were better quality than home movies, but they were basically, I think we got them through Focus on the Family or something, one of those types of deals. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we did have that, and I remember wondering because my sister would watch them. And I remember seeing them there and then seeing Barney on TV. I'm like, this isn't the same thing.
Right.
But they were both Barney.
They were both Barney, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there it is.
There it is. This has been another episode of Not Suitable for Adults. And we thank you for listening. We do want to thank, as usual, Shad Worrell for the use of the theme music he made for us. He's freaking great.
Yes.
You can find more of Shad's work on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/Shad-Worrell.
And that's Shad with an SH.
Correct. And we'll put a link in our show notes.
Right. But if anybody's just kind of listening, I just wanted them to know that.
Yeah, for sure. And then we want you to go out if you don't mind. If you like listening to our show, we'd like for you to do several things. One, give us a rating and a review if you can on whatever you listen to. You can do that on iTunes. You can do that on Podchaser, wherever you'd like to do that. Leave us a rating, leave us a review. Tell us what you like. If you have thoughts about anything that we've talked about on the show today, you can tweet at us at NotForAdultsCast on Twitter, or you can email us at notforadultscast@gmail.com. And then the last thing is another thing that I'm going to say.
Tell your friends.
That's it. That's the one. Okay. Tell people about us.
Please. The best thing you can do for us is, just mention us to somebody.
Yeah. Whether they have kids or not, if they're into sort of nostalgic, we do a lot of nostalgia these days.
Yeah, I've been doing that a lot more recently, is looking back into our childhood things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you might be interested in hearing about those particular things.
Yeah. So whatever, if it's that,
whatever.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
You do you. It's whatever.
It's whatever.
But yeah, so whether you're here for the nostalgia or whether you're watching shows that are coming out as we speak, there's a lot of great programs out there as well.
Oh, you guys, second season of Bluey is coming.
Oh man, I can't believe we didn't even say that. It's coming to Disney Plus this week.
Second season of Bluey. I'm really excited. I'm legitimately excited. It came out on, was it on YouTube TV or something? I don't know. Ben and Catherine, my brother and sister.
Oh yeah, YouTube TV has had it because I think it's been on demand with Disney Junior.
Anyway, they said there's some gems in that second season.
Season 3 is actually airing right now in Australia, and we're just now getting season 2 on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I was gonna do our normal sort of lead out. and do the whole like you're the boss and watch whatever you want. But I think, given what we just said, I think this week just don't forget that Bluey's coming on, so you're not the boss. You have to watch Bluey.
Or watch whatever you want.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.